I'm going to do the introductory talk today. My name is Kwan Haeng. I've been around for a while, and I met our teacher. Yeah, I guess everybody's been around for a while, yeah. So I met our teacher way back in 1986 at the Cambridge Zen Center, and then I went ordained to Korea in 1997, ordained in 99, and hung around. And then in 2003, I became a full monk, which is a bhikkhu. And then I stayed in Korea to 2012. I was in Korea when Zen Master Seung-Sahn passed into Nirvana in 2003. And we had his ceremonies, cremation at Sudaksa. And it's very interesting that our school, we don't like to have, we're a very Zen in the sense that we don't have a lot of the spiritual kind of thing to build it up, sort of kind of a thing. So when Zen Master Seung-Sahn passed away, we went to Sudaksa to do his cremation, and it was and it was understood as Sudaksa that you don't look for sari. Does everybody know what sari is? Sari happens when a Zen master, a great teacher, passes away, and they cremate the body, and then these little things appear, little solid kind of things appear. That's called sari, and it's and it usually have to Zen masters appear. But Sudaksa in our school is a style of school that doesn't really work with that or have that so much, because our school is not about, that's a material kind of thing. It's not about, it's about this, your true self, understanding yourself and helping others. And it doesn't have anything to do actually with material things. Although we do use, like we have the Buddha, the Buddha statues, we have this form and stuff like that, but absolute sense, we don't have we don't like to do this kind of religious, spiritual kind of thing. I don't know if I can't explain it much better than that. So anyways, we cremated Zen Master Seung-Sahn. It was a very beautiful ceremony, and a lot of people were there. And then after the ceremony was ended, where his cremation place was, they left it there. And of course you would, and then you went up, and we was in, and we were having meals and stuff like that. And I understand a nun, a Korean nun, snuck down to where he was cremated, and got a hold of his shari, and a lot of people were angry about that. A lot of people were angry at that, and I believe we have some here somewhere. But they have it at in Wagesar and other places, and so. Yeah, it's something that did anger a lot of people, because sometimes instead of actually practicing or teaching people about Buddhism and stuff, they'll put the shari out there and have people donate because of the shari and kind of like that. And so it gets a little bit weird. It even goes back when I believe it was Wei Nang was the last one that had the bowl and the robe. So when a Buddha passed away, he would pass his bowl and his robe to somebody. And so, but after a while, that bowl and robe represented a lot. I guess you could say a lot of power and stuff like that. So when the fifth patriarch passed away, I believe he gave it to Wei Nang and said, "That's it. Don't do that anymore. Don't put on that." And you just made a whole lot of other teachers, and that's what worked. But this idea of passing the bowl and the robe just ended with him for that reason. So that's a kind of interesting point. So, and I met, like I said, I met Zen Master Seung-Sahn in 1986 at the Cambridge Zen Center. And so some folks say, and when I came and started looking at Buddhism and wanted to practice, I actually went to the bookstore and bought the International Buddhist Directory. I'd been practicing on my own for a couple of years. I read a lot. I read Chinese Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism and insight meditation, Southeast Asia, all these kind of different kind of practices. And And Zen was what really, really interested me. But I had never heard of Korean Buddhism, which is kind of interesting. So in the International Buddhist Directory, I found this place, and I went to it, and it was a Zen center. It was the Quantum School of Zen, and it was Korean Buddhism. And so then I thought that I was going to be a kind of a person that would be out in Timbuktu, where it was, in a kind of a kuti, and that was kind of like my practice. But Zen Master Sungsan's practicing isn't that style. His practice is that, you practice with people together, action and all that kind of stuff. It isn't you hide away in the mountains and things like that. And not that to knock that style, because many people do that style, but he was more, how can I help? So I went to the Cambridge Zen Center, and I was practicing there. And the thing is, well, then if I didn't know Korean Buddhism, why did I stay? So I stayed because I sat really hard for like about 1 week, and then I went and had an interview with Zen Master Sungsan. And boy, this was one of those guys that you only find in a book. He wasn't, he wasn't really real in that sense. I mean, really, in that sense, that you could, if you were clear, if you practiced really hard and you was clear, and you went into Zen Master Sungsan and he saw that, he could pull something right out of you. He always did, if he saw that you was clear. And that's interesting, because there's a teacher in Korea who sometimes people want to come and talk to him. And he says, you can come and talk to me, but first you got to do 3,000 bows. So that person's got to bow all night, and then they can come in and talk to him. But he does that because he wants that person to be clear. He doesn't want them to have all these filters there. And that's kind of interesting, because I think that when I first came to the school, if we wanted to have an interview in the morning, we had to get up and do the 108 vows. We couldn't just, wander in and have an interview just like that. There had to be some practicing behind it. So yeah, that's kind of. So sometimes that we want to look at this not knowing mind, this don't know mind. And so sometimes the teachers will give a talk and stuff like that and try to explain. But, there are 3 teachers. That's Gucci and Linchi and Gucci, Linchi, and what was the one that did the Renzai? That was Linchi, Gucci, and... Okay. Oh.
I know who you mean.
Yeah. So there were 3. Let me just tell you about these 3 teachers. So one of them, Gucci, anytime he was giving a talk, he would just raise his finger just like that. Okay? He would just raise his finger just like that. And that was his teaching. All right? Zen Master Linchi, when he gave a talk, ha! And the other one was Doksan. When Doksan when he gave a talk, somebody asked him a question, not so much give him a talk, but they asked him a question about Buddhism, he would hit you with a stick. And so people say, boy, and then what's that about? But that is, now if they just hit you with the stick, and that's sometimes when you're here, and we have the Dharma talk, and the Zen Master's up front, and then he takes the stick and he goes, bump, and hits the table. That's the most important part of that talk. Believe it or not, that is, And so then you say, that what is that? That is, you can't explain. you can't explain. But I can tell you this, all three of those teachers were sutra masters. They were very, very smart. They understood the sutras in and out. Yet when somebody asked them a question, they didn't talk about the sutras, wouldn't do that. But they would raise their finger, hit you with a stick, or shout. And all of those, what do they point to? They point to this clear mind. Mm-hmm. This clear mind. Words cannot point to it. This clear mind. Yeah, what heard that? What heard that? Now, if I start talking, that is not, it's your thinking that kicks in and it's all screwed up. you missed the point. So that's a very kind of interesting point. Just your intuitive self, your before thinking yourself, your spiritual self. They call it all kinds of different names, but none of those names touch it. And so there's this 2 stories. Is that one time Lynchy, he was sitting just like I'm sitting up here. He was sitting like that. A student came up to him and asked him, "What is the highest what is the highest meaning of the great Dharma?" And Lynchy got off his seat, went over to him, smacked him in the face, and pushed him. And the guy just standing there looking at him. This is. And it was a very astute monk that was standing off the side. He said, "Why don't you bow to the master?" And this monk just went like this. And when he did that, his mind opened up. His mind opened up. And it's very interesting because that's actually quite a nice koan. If somebody wanted to, they could go have a koan interview. And the question is, what did that monk gain? What did that monk gain? What is it what did he gain? And so a point along that line is that some years ago in New York, there was a Zen master was giving a talk, and somebody asked him a question. He went over and he smacked him like that. And then that person the next day went to the police station and and filed a complaint. But the interesting thing is that the monk that whose mind opened up, he later became the head monk and a student there under Lynchy. But you got to understand that this was a very strong practicing person. So when he got smacked like that, his mind, instead of reacting and automatically becoming angry, he was just, this not knowing mind just appeared and he just stood there. And so, but you can figure that the guy who the monk did years later in New York, that he did, that was just a person who he acted out of anger. He became angry when that happened. It's a natural thing like that would happen. But in order for somebody to come up and hit you like that and this anger not appear, you got to really be a strong practicing kind of person. Mm-hmm. And so that it's very interesting that Lynchy would do that to that monk and just not engage in his thinking, just pap right across it. In just this moment he experienced that, and then his mind opened up and he attained something. So when you go into the koan interview, try to see if you can answer the question, what did that monk attain? Okay, good.
You're welcome. I'm Tony, and like Kwan Haeng Sunim, I've been. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Okay, you're right.
Hi everybody. Well, first of all, it's really nice to be here with you all. Thank you for coming, and also everyone online. Thank you for joining. And like Kwan Haeng Sunim, I've been around a little while, a couple minutes myself, but. We don't need an intro, that's okay. Thank you, Kwan Haeng Sunim, for your talk. Someone online was supposed to give the intro talk today, so Kwan Haeng Sunim very graciously just stepped in and gave that talk right off the cuff. Thank you very much. And before we get to questions, I just want to say a couple of things. So one thing that you said, really is a very important point. Kwan Haeng Sunim said that. It's in Zen when it's not about religion and all that, and it's about attaining our clear mind before thinking. And so, Zen Buddhism is one of the 5 world religions, 5 major world religions, or whatever, however they quantify those or whatever. But the essence of Buddhism and Zen, but all Buddhism at large, it's beyond religion, it's beyond philosophy. It's waking up to our true nature, which is before thinking, before name and form, like Kwan Haeng Sunim demonstrated a little while ago. And so, this whole world, there's so much fighting and discrimination and hatred and killing, because everyone thinks they're different. Everyone thinks, their idea or their religion. Everyone thinks, my idea, my religion is better than yours, and my skin color is superior to yours. My country is superior. My language is superior. On and on. So the whole world is on fire. But the essence of Buddhism and Zen, our practice, is attaining our true nature before all the concepts and all the ideas and everything. And we all have that, all beings, we all have that together. We're not separate. And so, but we live in a form world, so we need form, and there's some forms here, of course. We have our robes, there's a Buddha on the altar. The Buddha just represents our true self. Shakyamuni Buddha was a dude, just like all of us, just a human being who happened to have this great experience, this awakening, and so the teaching has been passed down from him, but he wasn't special. It's not special. And so, we need form in this world. It's a form world we live in, but not to be attached to. And then how do we use it? So then, if we attain our clear mind, and if maybe Buddhism and Zen resonates with us, so we may say, I'm a Zen practitioner. Maybe something else resonates. It doesn't matter, but it's how we use the form and how we show up in our life, in our every day. And that's what our practice is about. We need form. I love our forms. I love that we have robes and all that stuff. But it's not about this, right? This is like a uniform. And so the true, our practice is about attaining that which is before thinking, before name and form, our true nature. And that's the essence that's the essence of Zen, right? And so so the teachings and the form, there's like classic saying, probably many of you have heard it, like the teachings, the Dharma, it's like a finger pointing to the moon, right? So we need teaching, we need teachers, we need guidance, right? But and then we practice at some point, but if we only attach to the finger forever, we never get the moon. The moon represents our awakening, enlightenment, right? So at some point we stop, attaching to the finger and get the moon, and then we're free. And then however we want to roll in this life and form, or whatever we do, whatever job, whatever our practice is, then we're using that for others. Like Kwan Haeng Sunim said, our teacher, his main point was, how may I help you? How may I help you? And then also just to connect it with Don't Know Mind, which Kwan Haeng Sunim shared some about very, very beautifully. Zen Master Seung Sahn, our founding teacher, he's this Korean Zen master, and he always said, he said a million, things all the time, but he often would say, I don't teach Zen, I don't teach Buddhism, I only teach don't know, right? So what he's saying there is not attaching to the form, but practice and how to come back to don't know in each moment, each moment, each situation. Just don't know mind is the mind that we just meet this moment. We do our best to meet this moment just as it is, with not through just the veil of our thinking and our ideas, which so often separate us from our experience. So just meeting this moment just as it is, and then as Zen Master Seung Sahn always said, then our correct or clear, appropriate relationship, situation, and function to the present moment, whatever's going on in the present moment, can manifest, right? And then we just do it. Yeah. So, thank you, Kwan Haeng Sunim. Thank you. So, and anybody have any questions? Anything? Yeah. Please. Thank you. Yes. And you can always. It's nice to say your name and. Thank you.
Thank you for your talk. So you said that the three masters, like their teachings were very simple, like we're Zen. However, to get there, and that they were experts on the sutras, right? So to get there, they learn all those sutras. So what would make Zen Master Sansang believe that as folks, regular folks, are going to learn without those pointers and bypass all the sutras and just teach Zen?
Is For me, okay, great. Thank you for your question. That's a great question. So, like Kwan Haeng Sunim said, all those teachers, they happened to be, they were, before they became Zen masters, they were sutra masters. And but at some point, something changed for them, and not to knock the knowledge of the sutras, but something shifted at some point. I imagine there's a lot of great stories about that for the old Zen masters who were sutra masters. And then they realized that just this knowledge, knowing the sutras, is not enough. Because they realized that there's another step or a few steps to take. Because at some point something happened and they probably got stuck, and they realized that they hadn't actually attained the before thinking mind. And so the story goes with a lot of these guys that a lot of these people, that they eventually started just like practicing Zen and doing meditation. Because traditionally the sutra masters in the sutra temples, they didn't do meditation. They just studied the sutras. So there's a great story. Maybe Sunim, you might be able to help me remember the name. Maybe it was with the tea house.
Sutra, the tea
yeah,
house.
was that Doksan?
I believe that was Doksan, yeah.
I think it was maybe Doksan.
He went to hit the monks in a...
right, yeah. I think it was Doksan.
Yeah.
So Doksan is one of those three teachers that Sunim was just talking about. So he was this great sutra master, and he had this big sutra monastery in was it China or Korea? China. Yeah, so he was very, very famous. And then he heard that down south, because the Zen had started to, I guess that not too long before, had come to China through Bodhisattva, the first patriarch of Zen. And so he heard that there were these monks down south at some temple or whatever, and they were sitting facing the wall and just staring at the floor and meditating and supposedly attaining enlightenment. So he heard this and he was enraged. He was like, he was like, that's complete bullshit. That is impossible. That cannot be. They're all frauds. That's fake. That is not the practice. That's not Buddhism. Only studying, you have to master the sutras. That's Buddhism. So he was very angry. So he went down south and to hit the Zen master's mind there, the teacher, and to correct him. He's going to fix the situation, right? So he traveled very far on foot. In those days, that's what they did, and he went very far and stayed here and there. And then one late afternoon, he came to this little teeny town or something. It wasn't too far from the temple, this Zen monastery. And he was very, very hungry and very thirsty, and he came to a little tea house. And there was this a woman, an elderly woman who owned it and ran it. And so he said that, yeah, please, I'd like some food and something to drink. And he was a monk and he had the clothes, and she said, oh, Sunim, thank you for coming, thank you, and Sunim's in Korean, whatever it was in Chinese, but for Sunim is for monk, how we dress our monks and nuns, the ordained people. And then she said, oh, you must be a great monk, a great teacher. And he said, yes, I'm Doksan, I am great sutra master. Diamond Sutra Master. Thank you. And then she said, oh, that's wonderful. You must be very, very, very great. And she said, okay. She said, I'll tell you what, I have one question for you, and if you can answer my question, then I'll serve you lunch. If you cannot answer my question, though, then you got to get out of here, and I'm not serving you. He was already mad, like, how dare you even question? I can answer any question. So he was like, he was quite gruff, and he said, what's your question? No problem. And any question, no problem for me. What is it? And she said, okay, in the sutras it's said, or in the Diamond Sutra, because that's what he was a master of, past mind cannot get enlightenment, future mind cannot get enlightenment, present mind cannot get enlightenment. So with what mind will you receive this lunch, have you this lunch? And he was stuck. his mind was completely stuck. He could not answer. He never heard this kind of a question. Doesn't come up in the sutras, this kind of stuff. This is Zen, like Zen teaching. And he turned red, and he was just completely stuck and embarrassed, and he was having a hard moment there. And then she said, okay, no worries. And she said, you go to this temple. There's a temple where he was going to go. And that's my teacher there, the Zen master there. Go there. I can't remember what Zen master that was he went to. He'll help you. He'll teach you. You go there. I think maybe she gave him lunch anyway. I don't know, but that's anyway. So that's an example of, like, his mind got stuck. And so then this great question appeared, and then the story goes on about his journey. He went there, and there's a couple other parts to the story, and then he eventually became this great Zen master. So that's a long way of...
And he wound up burning his books.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. He burnt his books, yeah. So to answer your question very directly, we don't need the sutras. We don't need to study the sutras. It's fine if one wants to read a little bit or something, but that's not so. Daishan Sunim didn't teach that, and as Daishan Sunim always said, and it's the truth. We all have our true nature. We all have enlightenment. It's just, it's right, he always said, it's right here, right in front of us. It's right here, right now. It never abandons us, our clear mind, but because of our attachment, thinking, and all our conditioning, we kind of abandon it, but the practice is just coming back. So that's why he had, always had, and, faith in us and everybody that, we can do this practice and attain our clear mind, of course. So don't need the sutras. It's okay. Again, it's fine to read some if you wish to, but don't attach to it. That's what's important. Don't attach to any teaching. Just see how if it informs you in some way in your practice, that's wonderful, but don't attach to it. Okay. Thank you. Does anyone else have a question? And also online, if someone has, please let us know.
Okay, I have a question. When Kwan Haeng Sunim was talking about the sixth patriarch, right? So when he received the robe and bowl, I guess from Bodhidharma, from that transmission, from the fifth patriarch said, you are going to revolutionize the teaching somehow. From now on, you don't transmit that to anybody else, right? That robe and bowls, that's finished, right?
It stops with him, yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I saw that in the sutra. I didn't really understand what was it, because his teaching from then on was very, very intricate and complicated and amazing teaching. But I guess it's not from the sutra anymore. It's directly from him.
It actually didn't have to do with the. It didn't have to do with the teaching, and it had to do with this simple fact that the bowl and robe represented so much so that they chased him for like 20 years to get the bowl and robe. And the person who had the bowl and robe then had all this power. It actually didn't even have to do with the Zen or Buddhism or anything. It had to do with what the bowl represented, which didn't really represent the teaching. So it represented the teaching, but the person that had it didn't necessarily even have to be a very good teacher or anything like that. Right. Whereas when he got rid of that, Huineng started the good thing that he was illiterate, but he had a talent for opening people's mind. That was his talent. And so, kind of like that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anything? Eva, okay.
So I have a question. In terms of, bowing practice is one of the forms. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of the purpose behind it is? Who am I bowing to and why?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for Good question. Yeah, bowing is a wonderful practice. So in the quantum school of Zen, the main forms, the practices that we do, the formal practices are bowing, prostrations, sitting meditation, walking meditation, and chanting meditation, and also during our longer than 1 day retreats, formal meals and things. And so bowing. So in our Zen centers. In the morning practice, we traditionally do a set of 108 bows, 108 prostrations, and people do them who are physically able. Sometimes not everyone can do them. Sometimes because of knee or issues or whatever. But we do standing bows then. But the bowing, like the Zen Master Sung San always said, it's like this is action meditation, and so when I was younger and physically able, I used to do extra. When I was living at the Zen centers, I did the 108 bows with the Sangha in the morning, and I always did like 400. I did like 500 bows a day for many, many years. I just loved the practice, and so it's action meditation, and so it's another practice, it's another form, where we create this situation, whether we're doing sitting meditation, chanting, walking meditation, bowing, in all those practices we create this very intentional direct circumstance where we're just practicing coming back to the present moment. And bowing, it's quite a physical thing. It's a wonderful exercise doing these full prostrations. So it's very much about, because it's very physical, about body and mind coming together in this moment, right? And so I'll say more about that in one moment. So it's not a devotional bow. We're not bowing to Buddha like a god, or Buddha was not a god, is not a god. We're not bowing to anything outside ourselves. We're just bowing, and we can say in a certain way we're bowing to our true nature and all beings' true nature, and but it's coming back to the present moment. And of course, bowing, we are prostrating ourselves, so it does also have this wonderful aspect of it, because it's humbling, because we are bowing down. But again, we're not bowing down to anything outside of ourselves, or devotion, or not at all, nothing outside ourselves. But it is humbling. It does, because of our attachment to thinking and attaching to I, my, me, our egos can be quite troublesome at times. So it is very humbling at the same time. And again, it's a great exercise for the body, and it really gets the blood flowing, things circulating. It gets aches and pains. Sometimes if you have little back issues, it can help with that. But then again, it's very much this body and mind come together in this moment. Because the body is bowing, but the mind may be someplace else. When we come together, then we bring our mind back to just to bowing. Then the whole package is together, right? So then there's a real sense of wholeness too, because body and mind are together in this moment. So it's a different kind of practice, and in all the practices, bowing, walking meditation, sitting meditation, chanting, they're all about coming back to the present moment and practicing being present, but they all have a different little aspect to them and different flavors, if you will, and they're a little bit working on our mind and our consciousness in some ways which are completely overlap and are the same, and there's other ways which, each one is rather particular. Again, bowing is very physical, chanting we're using the voice and all that, so that's about bowing. It's a great practice and just very important to remember. And we're not bowing to anything outside of ourselves. Okay, yeah. And is that great? Thank you. I wish I could do 500 bows again still these days. I can't anymore. But great. Any other questions?
Okay, I have one from online, from Larry. It's, can someone who never tasted a banana explain what a banana tastes like? Well, if you're an artist, I suppose. And do all Zen masters know awakening? Or is it all hearsay? Is there an awakening, I guess?
Larry, have you had a banana? Ever had a banana? Larry?
said sure.
Okay, great. All right. Do you think you would know what it tastes like if you didn't have one? If someone just described the taste to you, would you actually know it? No. Okay, right. So there you go. Yeah, because it's about experience, right? Right, yeah. So, yeah, because we can, someone can describe, and, someone who's good with words, or good writer, or good speaker can, someone who's very maybe poetic can write beautifully about the taste of a banana and the real little nuances of it and everything. But we can read that and we have some idea of what it tastes like, but until we have a banana, we don't know, right? And then so to answer your question, and you already answered yourself, the answer is no. We can't know what a banana tastes like until we've tried it, right? And so that's a very important point, because that's our Zen practice is about experience, right? It's not about the idea or the concept. It's about the experience. That's why coming back just now is so important. Yeah, and about your second question about if all Zen masters have awakened, is that what it was essentially? I don't know. You better go test. If you meet a Zen master, then test her or him. Find out. If you ask a Zen master, any teacher, if they have awakening, and they say, "Oh yes, of course," you better hit them. Tell you that much. Then I give you permission to whack them. So yeah, because again, the teaching it's demonstrated, right? And again, beyond thinking, beyond concepts, right? So yeah, but you gotta, if you're wondering about a particular teacher, then ask that person and see what happens. Yeah, can't.
Hi, Tony. I'm Josh. So you talked about the world being on fire, and it feels like that sometimes. So much divisiveness and a lot of hatred and a lot of acceptance of violence and all these things that we talk about the opposite of sometimes, and having loving compassion and loving care for others. Maybe you could help give some tips or tricks, Tony's tips and tricks, to find compassion and love when the world's on fire around you.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's a wonderful and very important question. And yeah, so we have, the world situation, the human condition is just like you said, Josh, and it's like that. But but also there is, again, we have our true nature. So there is a lot of so much suffering in this world, but there's also a huge amount of love and compassion, and we all have our true nature. And so, what's important for all of us is to practice and to, do our best every day in each situation to really be present and right there, so that our love and compassion can manifest again, or that clear, most appropriate relationship, situation, and function to the present moment. So if we're, sometimes if we're having an interaction with a friend, a significant other, a colleague, and maybe we're mad or we're really pissed off about something, or something isn't just going right for us and our mind is not clear and we're tight, then we may say something unskillful and hurtful to this person in front of us. It may have nothing to do with that person, it might, right? Sometimes it does. We overreact to a person in front of us. Sometimes there's something else going on or happened in the morning that we can't let go of, and then that affects our interaction with this person at the present moment, even though it has nothing to do with her or him, whatever. And so sometimes, so we may not be so skillful or compassionate, but then our practice is doing our best to come back into to be in touch with our, to be in touch with our clear mind, so that we can be compassionate, we can be kind. And then when we're not, sometimes we have moments where we weren't our clear self. But then we see that, and then, and then really seeing that, and then owning that is one way of saying it. Owning it means just being really honest with ourselves. Okay, hey, yeah, that wasn't, I didn't do well there, I didn't do right. And then we can always, we're human, and so sometimes things like that will happen, but we can always make it okay. We can always go to someone and say, hey, I'm really sorry. I'll give you an example of something that happened to me just last week. I think it was Tuesday morning. I'm fine now, otherwise I wouldn't be here in person, I promise you, but I had COVID. I was pretty sick this last week. And I think it was Tuesday morning. I had to call my PCP office to schedule like an annual for coming, like in January. It was scheduled for like March. I wanted to change it to January for certain reasons. And I spoke with one of the administrators there, a woman who I know very well. She's always there at the front desk. She's just a sweet, sweet person. And when I called her and spoke to her about getting this appointment rescheduled, and I could tell on the one hand, she seemed a little bit like, got the feeling she's probably kind of stressed out, maybe was having like a bit of a rough morning. But then she told me that, she said, well, Tony, actually you had your annual already in October, and so you can't have it again so soon, right? And I was like, well, that wasn't an annual. I just came in for one thing and also to get my flu shot. That wasn't an annual at all. And she said, well, it was coded that way, and that's how we have it. She was a little bit testy, and then I got a little, I wasn't mean, I didn't yell at her, I didn't say anything bad, but I got a little bit tight, and I think it was probably, not to make an excuse, but I really wasn't feeling well, but I got a little, I think there was some annoyance in my voice, and I was like, well, that's not actually, you all might have coded it that way and sent it to insurance that way, but that was not an annual, so please fix that. Correct that so that I can, we can do this in January. And she was like, okay, all right, I'll take care of it. She was a little gruff. And then I got off the phone, and it was one of those moments where it just, she may have been a little bit tight or whatever. That has nothing to do with my reaction. And I felt really bad because I knew I was a little bit tight. My energy was a little tight with her. And I felt bad because I could have said what I needed to say with a little bit, with some, not tightly, right? And I'm still gotten my point across and what I need and hope will happen. But so I felt really bad because I felt like I didn't treat her well. And I was like, well, okay, I got to call her back. I called her back, and I was hoping she would answer because they have a number of different administrator people there. But she did answer, and and I said, oh, Chandra, I am so sorry. I think just on the phone just now, I was a little bit tight with you, and I said, I'm really sorry. You are always so kind and helpful, and I just want to let you know I'm really sorry. And she was like, no, you were fine, and you had a right to be a little ticked off because we shouldn't have. It was our mistake. And I was like, yeah, no, but okay, well, thank you, but I'm really sorry if I was a little gruff with you, a little tight, and then we had a nice, a moment and a nice, goodbye. So it's like that, right? So, we're human beings, so it's not about being perfect or every moment we do everything perfectly or we get it right all the time. It's about doing our best, right? And doing our best, the more we're able to be anchored in the present moment with things as they are, then the more our best can actually manifest and shine. And but again, we're human, and so when we do have a little bit of not the clearest moment, then we can always make it right, or however that might look, whatever that is. And so when very important, Josh, in the face of all the stuff that's going on in the world, has been going on since endless time, and is going on, very much in presently, all the divisiveness and all the things you already mentioned, which again, it's it's very important not to become negative or tainted by that. It's hard, and we see things that are really hard, and And of course, sometimes we experience great disappointment about things that are going on and all that, of course, and there's anger, there can be anger and a lot of things, but not that we become negative and tainted, so that our truth, right, we don't compromise away our truth because of all these external circumstances, but then, like our practice, how can I help? So again, just, doing our best. And so how can I help? How can I help this world? And so, there's so many ways we can help and serve in our everyday life. Again, how we show up in our relationships, in our families, at work, colleagues, friends, and then whatever kind of, whatever we do also, if we're doing stuff in the community, whatever it is in our work, professions, but how may I help? And so, so most important is not to get become negative or tainted, or we don't compromise our truth away, right? Yeah. So, thank you. Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I think we're about it. Yeah.
Right here.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, thank you both for your talks. Just a few closing announcements. First of all, Kyilcha is starting off on January 4th, and it is a minimum of 1 week at our beautiful Diamond Hill Monastery. You can find more information and how to register online. We also have 4 short retreats scheduled for early next year. I think they're all with the Master Tangong, Jose Ramirez, and we have a 1-day, we have a Christian Buddhist retreat, and we have another one. Actually, the Christian Buddhist retreat is going to be hybrid, so you can also join online. Then we'll have a 1-day that's hybrid, and then the other one is actually a Foundations of Zen workshop. So that's great for beginners or new practitioners to learn a little bit more in depth about our forms.
Without time forgetting one thing, I always forget this to the last minute, and that is that the New Year's practicing. So we start at 11:30 at night, and when 12 hits, we're actually doing chanting or bowing or something like that. So when the midnight thing, instead of watching TV and jumping up and down, we're bowing, we're chanting or doing some practice at that time, and we go to about 2 a.m. And then we sleep in the next morning and have breakfast. Anybody is welcome to come to do that with us. You don't have to, there's no cost involved in that. And you can sleep in that night. If you don't want to go home that night, I understand. That's really late. And so there'll be a place for you to sleep here, and we'll have breakfast in the morning and call it quits.
What about fireworks, Sanim? Bring your own? Just kidding. I'm speaking of that. We do have Wednesday night dinner.
Wednesday night is Christmas.
Yeah.
So probably what'll happen is that we won't have that. We'll cancel that. But there'll be, still people will appear. So there'll be some food, but that Wednesday night, and that we'll have practicing, of course. So that's kind of like how that's going to be.
Okay, so you can still join us on Wednesday for practice. And then one more thing, the Quantum Zen Americas fundraiser is in full swing. I believe the goal is $108,000, and I think we're around a third of the way there. So we really do appreciate any donations that you can make. Thank you so much, and thank you for your practice.
Can I make an announcement, please?
Yes, go ahead, Carol.
So I'm manager of the bookstore, the gift shop over here, and we have books called Composting Your Karma. And that book was written by Zen Master Kwan Haeng, who is Bobby Rose, who is the Zen master of our entire school, Quantum School of Zen. And the books are only $20, and they just came out on December 10th. And so we have enough of them in there. If it's very easy reading, I already read it. It's a wonderful book, and it's especially great for people that are new to our practice because she's very down to earth and very clear. So I'd like to invite you to come into the bookstore and take a look at the book. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You doing? Good. How are you?
It'd be nice if it came in large print.
Is it small?
Yeah.
Small?
Yeah.
She's got to get it on the Kindle. That's true. That's true.
It is a big question.
Precarious.
Not so much. I don't really have that national focus where I work. It's just like local stuff. No, I mean, a lot of that group stays online. That's not really our company. It's yeah, I think I started to take it more seriously. And sometimes, yeah, I guess I'm just like recently just kind of not thinking, but I guess I'm feeling out about not something like that. Yeah. It is funny though, how, like, it's not a problem. Thinking about it. You're just kind of like feeling it out.
But,
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's like, yeah, well, exactly right. It does kind of create like weird, like existential questions. And like when I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah. Right. Yep. Yeah, I still kind of have this like beginner's question of like, does, not self imply nihilism? Yeah, five. I practice, I don't feel the chair.
You've been put in the other chair too on the other side.
Yeah.
Hard for me sometimes.
Sure.
And the one house is more.
Does she have a special job? Yeah. Right. She brings it over. So. Yeah. Actually, just a few days ago, we actually came up.
But you know, that's the thing. If you keep practicing through all this chaos and all the turbulence, then it's like another plateau, another evolution of the practice. Like it just kind of grows between it. That's how I tend to get wild.
Yeah, it's kind of opposite.
It's always more.
Yeah, I know.
Good function.